Welcome to the Women Leaders Association Daily Member Podcast, where we believe we go further, faster, and have more fun when we go together. I'm your host, Julianne Kirkland. And in each Daily Member Podcast, we will pick out a great speaker from one of our meetings that we thought you would enjoy. You can access hundreds of recent speakers, book summaries, great articles, and more at no additional charge through your membership portal. If you would like to get involved in a Women Leaders Association mastermind group or find a networking group near you, or if you just need access to the membership portal, simply go to womenleaderspodcast.com to be connected. Now let's tune in for this incredible message. We are about to bring up our next guest, who I am super excited for as well, Susan Hudson, and she is going to share her presentation on handling difficult conversations with confidence. And I feel like we need some music to bring her up to, but she is about to take over right now. Welcome, Susan.
Hey, good afternoon. How are you?
I am so well.
Wonderful.
Add you to the spotlight right here.
Outstanding.
I'm going to remove myself and then take it away.
Oh, fabulous. Okay.
Yes.
So, as Julianne said, my name's Susan Hudson. Good afternoon. I'm a director of brand operations, performance, and support. It's a big mouthful with Choice Hotels International. We're one of the largest franchisors in the world. You probably have stayed with a few of our brands. They include Cambria Hotels, Comfort Suites, Comfort Inn, Sleep Inn, Quality Inn, Woodspring, Mainstay, Suburban, Clarion Point, Everhome, and our boutique hotels, which is the Ascend Collection. And if anybody out there is in the industry, then you may have heard that Choice also purchased Radisson and Country Inn and Suites. So if you haven't stayed in one of our hotels lately, I'm sure hopeful that you'll try one soon. We're really easy to find. Today, I am going to talk about having difficult conversations or hard conversations and doing it with confidence. I think almost everyone might get a little nervous or apprehensive discussing topics that aren't comfortable. The employee that has the poor hygiene and is off-putting to coworkers and customers, or having that critical conversation with your boss about how their management style is really counterproductive in managing you, telling a customer no and keeping their business, challenging someone's cultural norm, or just helping an owner understand that if they don't change their actions or their process, they may lose their livelihood. I would not categorize any of those topics as fun, but each are examples of real life conversations that I've had with individuals over the past 30 years. They've been conversations that were necessary. Truth be told, really, they were unavoidable. And I'll tell you, I was so uncomfortable on every one of them. Honestly, I was uncomfortable because I was afraid. What if I made this situation worse? What if they quit? Or what if my boss fires me? Am I going to offend them? Am I qualified to even have the conversation with them? Are they going to laugh at me and I'm humiliated? But I've learned over the past 30 years that when you're working with a team, whether it's employees or owners, bosses, or even immediate family members, if I don't address it, it typically just gets worse. So I've been learning for years now how to navigate these tough conversations, doing it confidently, effectively, and successfully. I've literally read dozens and dozens of books on this topic. I've listened to podcasts, subscribed to industry and business journals, and there's a ton of great information out there. I've read the articles about the magic number to the steps to achieve, successful conversations, or the books on how to hold people accountable when they don't meet expectations. There's the ADKAR model, an oldie but a goodie, how to win friends and influence people. Or my most recent favorite is Fierce Conversations, and it teaches you how to have clarity and improve understanding, handle strong emotions on both sides, and overcoming barriers to meaningful communications. All of these books, the LinkedIn learning, etc., they definitely help. They teach me how to be successful in my communications, internal communications as well as external, and provide a ton of content and ideas. But like anything else you want to excel at, you need to make it your own. You need to put practice time in. You need to fail. I loved what Julia said, you're going to fail, but fail fast. You need to learn from those failures and successes. And it's wash, rinse, repeat. So Here are a couple things that I've learned and try to incorporate when I know I've got to have a difficult conversation on the horizon. So, prepare. Do your homework and practice. I learn as much as I can about a subject. I ask questions from my mentors. I might practice actually the conversation with a trusted coworker. I even have been known to write out what I'm going to say and how I think they're going to respond. I'll ask questions from those it impacts if applicable. Preparation and specificity is the key to really clear, effective messaging. When I'm prepared, I'm more logical and I'm more confident having that difficult conversation. I make better eye contact. I'm less likely to get upset and react during the conversation. And I can thoughtfully respond and hopefully keep the conversation focused on the topic at hand. And I've found usually that when I stay calm and focused, then the person I'm speaking to becomes a little calmer and hopefully a little more receptive. If we're both calm and we understand the problem, we have a much better chance of resolving it. So part of the preparation is going to get the correct mindset. And I do this by knowing facts and details, backwards and forwards. If I have the correct mindset, it gives me confidence. And doing the homework and the practice gives me competence when having that conversation. So one of the little formulas that I stole from a speaker was competence plus proper mindset equals better conversations. The second thing I try to use is Stephen Covey's 5th habit of highly effective people. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. It's the habit of listening to other people's ideas and their feelings. This one helps me stay centered and level-headed when things really hit the fan. When I'm centered and calm, when I have the right mindset, I will project confidence. The other day, I was listening to a TED Talk with Adair Cohen on 3 ways to lead tough and unavoidable conversations, and he said something that really resonated with me. His number 1 rule was move toward the conflict. And I know it sounds counterintuitive. Truth be told, when my phone rings and I know it's an owner that's always really difficult to deal with, and you just kind of roll my head and go, oh God, I don't want to take that call. I want to avoid, that's my instinct, and not answer it. But I can't do that, of course. So I mentally prep myself. I take a deep breath. I grab a notepad and a pen, and I try to remember that. And I love this quote: without conflict, problems hide everywhere. Big problems. Problems we all want to solve. So conflict is information, and handled well, conflict is opportunity. So when I have that upset owner, or I've got to broach a touchy topic like an employee's personal hygiene, I head towards the conflict. Avoiding the conflict will only make things worse. The owner thinks I'm ignoring him. His frustration level increases if he doesn't feel heard, or maybe I avoid talking to that employee that has the hygiene issue because I'm afraid I might hurt their feelings. But at the same time, I'm going to be negatively impacting my business potentially, and other employees or customers may leave if they get the wrong impression about that business. Either way, it can cost you more money not dealing with these conversations. So when I'm having these conversations, I ask a lot of questions. I pretend I don't know anything sometimes, and I really actively listen. And most frequent question I ask is, what else? I will physically lean in, I will look at them in the eyes and say, what else? And I keep asking that, and I take notes, because likely we're not going to solve all the issues at that exact moment, but I keep asking what else, basically until they run out of steam. That's normally when we get to the heart of the issue, or I've got enough information, a clear enough picture of why this problem is such a big problem for my owner. And one of the key steps here, and this is so tough for me on most days, honestly, it's something I continually work at, is once I've asked that question, what else? I shut up. I have to be quiet. I stay quiet. I want to understand so I can help them. And the best way for me to do that is to actively listen and not worry about what I'm going to say next or what my reply is going to be. And that is a constant challenge, but it works when I actively listen. So seek first to understand, then to be understood. ask questions about people's experiences, and listen to what they say. Important things are going to be said because you're listening. And the better you listen, the better the people having the conversation will listen to each other. The third thing, create a network of trusted advisors or your own personal board of directors, basically. I've got a small group, but a very trusted group of friends and coworkers. Some of them are in the same business as me in hotels, others aren't. And this is my ace up the sleeve. This is my magic. I can run issues by them, get different perspectives, and sometimes the perspectives that aren't emotionally tied to the issue. And I'm really comfortable being vulnerable with them, saying, should I say this? What should I say? What would you say? How would you handle that? And so they become my sounding board just for a sanity check on some days. But it's so helpful because I learn from them. I learned from their similar situations, how they handled it. And it reminds me of a couple good things. One, I'm not alone. Everybody has these type of issues typically, or something similar. And secondly, I might be able to try something they suggested that might be much more successful. So the point is, having a person or several trusted people that you can be authentic with and you can be honest and vulnerable with. Develop that core group of your own board of directors. It's a solid foundational piece for me. My friends and my trusted advisors are great at helping me get into the right mindset as well as improving my communication skills. And so I increase my competence as well. The fourth tip I have for handling difficult conversations with confidence is honesty really is the best policy. There's been 2 occasions in my professional career that probably were the scariest regarding difficult conversations because I thought I was going to lose my job. In each case, I had coworkers, and one of them was actually my best friend, and she got promoted and became my direct manager. And when she got promoted, I made it crystal clear to her that I was going to respect the boundaries of her position. I didn't expect any special treatment because of our friendship, etc. I wanted her to be comfortable, and I wanted her to know I respected the position. And so that really did work well for a while. But as she got caught up in a very demanding role, she became more and more critical of my performance. And honestly, what made it really hurtful and frustrating was that when the entire team would be together, she would purposefully recognize others' team members for their contributions and accomplishments, but never mine, not once, even when my performance clearly exceeded the rest of the team. The combination of essentially being ignored and the omission of earned recognition, some of the little remarks she made just absolutely made me miserable. I thought maybe I'm being hypersensitive because I can be a drama queen. So I kind of did a sound check with my coworkers, and they saw it too. And they felt badly for me, which honestly, that was embarrassing, and it made me feel even worse. And I got to the point where I finally had enough. And so I decided, you know what, I got to have a conversation with her. We were flying back from convention, and we decided we're going to have breakfast before our flight. And I'd been working on my speech for days. I ran it past my friends, even my husband. I had my examples ready to go. So I'm like, okay, I practiced, I'm good to go. It was literally the most difficult conversation I'd ever had because in my mind, not only was I risking my job, but also a 25-year friendship. And again, I did the homework. I had examples. I used the, I feel this way when you say this kind of statements. I didn't want to get aggressive with her. Told her I loved her as a friend. I asked her about her expectations for me. I told her how unhappy I was about the current job, the way things were going, and that I was seriously considering resigning. She was shocked. It was a long, tough conversation, but in the end, it did save our friendship and my job. She actually had no idea I was that miserable. She admitted that she needed to be a little tougher on me, or she felt she had to, because people knew we were friends, and she didn't want there to be even a hint of favoritism. And once we got everything out on the table, and she did ask me like a dozen times, what else? Things got significantly better over time. And we did well. Truth be told, and in full disclosure, about 7 minutes later, she moved to another position in the company. and I had a great new supervisor, and we both excelled. So it was good. But the point is, had I not been honest with her, had I not practiced it, got my examples together, got mentally in the right mindset, I'm fairly convinced that the conversation would have definitely turned south and not been successful at all. So just a brief recap. Move towards the conflict. Your instinct will be to run the other way, but don't do it. Move towards the conflict. You don't know anything, or at least pretend you don't know, and ask questions. Be quiet while they wait. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. And then the last one, which I spilled over into number 2, was keep quiet. Don't panic in the few seconds that it takes people to respond. Silence is okay. And 5 seconds may seem like 10 hours sometimes when it's a very tense situation. But wait it out. So what's next? We each have our own way of doing things. And in my case, it's taken a lot of reading, a lot of studying, a lot of listening to speakers like Julia and other speakers that they have on these programs, making mistakes, and then giving myself a little grace on occasion, because everybody does fail and they need to fail fast. I'm going to use that a lot. But using all of those things to improve my competence, which has a direct effect on my mindset. Of the two, keeping my positive right mindset seems to be one I constantly need to pump up to maintain. So I use positive affirmations. I get rid of the word I should have done this, I should have done that, because I can't change right now. I've got to move forward. I visualize my past successes and the potential future successes. I can't even tell you how many times I practiced speaking in front of you all. And having the confidence that I do know the topic. I know my topic, regardless of what it is each day. And all this leads to confidence and better communication. And it's my belief and my experience that if I have better communications, honest, direct, empathetic, and sometimes very difficult conversations, more times than not, there really are better outcomes. There's better relations with my supervisors, better relations with my guests and employees, better relations with the owners, and definitely better relations with my family members. And that one just got tested last night with my 16-year-old. So please don't be afraid to touch that third rail. Don't avoid having those tough conversations. Do the prep work, plan it out, find your mentors, ask questions, and be honest. You're going to find that those difficult conversations may not be as hard or as painful as you initially thought. And refuse to let feelings hold you back. You want to, one of my favorite phrases that my senior vice president choice, Janice Cannon, said to me when I got promoted to this position is, get moving. Action neutralizes self-doubt. So remember, preparation, mindset, seek first to understand, find your trusted advisors, and stick to the honest message.
I was just talking away and I was muted. Susan, thank you. That was so great. Over here in the chat, Cynthia said, yes, let go of the shoulda, coulda, woulda. And I'm like, absolutely. We never get anywhere when we should all over ourselves, so let's just cut that out.
Absolutely.
It's no good for anyone.
Absolutely.
I would love if you have time for a couple questions. If you have a question, please put it in the chat and we would have a few minutes to answer that. And then Christy commented on action neutralizes self-doubt. That is so good. I love that. So what in your journey to where you are and the beautiful hotel that she has behind her, that's a real hotel that she has, which is absolutely gorgeous. What do you think has been one of your greatest challenges that you've come against in having these difficult conversations? Like with you personally, what was something that you were like, I got to handle that with myself?
Yeah. Honestly, it's my own fear. Fear that I'm not good enough. People talk about the imposter syndrome. If I let myself get down in that rabbit hole of that I'm not worthy, I'm not enough, then the conversations, I will avoid the conversations, or I'm not as effective usually. Sometimes you just have to, but I'm not as effective. So very much I'll tell you, in my entire career, besides the one with my best friend, having to tell an employee that they smelled and they were offensive, you don't want to hurt somebody. It was a housekeeper that, they don't make a lot of money. And that's where the listening, really active listening to them and being empathetic, that taught me so much at a very young age.
Yeah.
I like to tell people, here's how to fix everything, but sitting back and actively listening to her story and find out what's helped us both solve the issue.
That's good. Oh, that's so good. Okay, we have one over here. This is from Zena. How can we address unfair performance reviews? Those are definitely hard conversations to have.
They are very hard. So I know in a lot of the companies I work with, we rate ourselves and then our supervisor rates us, and then we get together and we do a comparison. And there's been many instances, and I find it's interesting when I look back at it, I will usually rate myself a little harder than my supervisor does. But the best thing you can do, again, as you're going into a review time, know your facts, know what you've accomplished, jot them down so they're top of mind, practice how to say it in front of a mirror. And then when you're actually sitting down with that supervisor, and you've got to kind of keep perspective, try not to get emotional, and say, okay, you say that I really need to develop this area. I'm not very good there. Can you cite some examples or why you feel that way?
Yeah.
And listen to him. And it's a communication. If they can give you solid examples, then accept it. But if you feel it's not valid, then you need to say that. You need to speak it respectfully and say, well, I hear what you said. Can I express how I feel about that? And so it's that mutual respect, and you will have butterflies in your belly undoubtedly. And like I do afterwards, I can do it and I walk out of the room and I'm very nervous energy is like flowing out.
Absolutely.
But you can do it. And the best way to be is prepared and be as non-emotional as you can. Stick to the facts.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Leah over here in the chat said, help me understand. Can you help me see what that looks like so I can better understand? Like, that's a great approach, to having those hard conversations. Tracy says, what advice do you have if you disagree with the feedback you're receiving from an employee, like you as the CEO?
Right.
What would you say?
And I don't like the feedback I'm getting from
right. So they came in, they're giving you some feedback.
Got it. Well, number one, sincerely, I would thank them. Two, I would use what Leah noted right there. Help me understand.
Yeah.
Why do you feel that way? And then you take the feedback, and it doesn't necessarily, and you don't give them false hope that, we'll implement that right away. But you say, we need to look at that. Maybe we can have additional conversation. So one of the questions that was asked previously was with Julia is, how do you make sure the CEO is not in a bubble, that they're able to get that information? And a lot of it I like doing are skip level meetings. But it's when an employee does come forward, it takes a lot of courage in most cases for employees to do that. So you got to give them some credit and you got to listen. And it may not be anything, it might be emotions, but you got to listen because there might be a grain of truth in there.
Oh, that's so true. And, I think especially now when we're really heavy-handed on technology and algorithms and being able to replace a lot of people with technology, people still matter.
Yes.
And, we like to say, oh, don't take it personally, but it is personal. You're talking to a person and it is personal. So I love that you're saying, you got to have that fierce empathy, that degree of, I am going to hear you. I'm going to be with you. I'm going to understand what you're saying.
Right.
And I'm also going to hold you accountable as well and have those tough conversations. That's
absolutely great. We see that a lot, honestly, with our owners, because after you stay at a hotel, you'll get a survey. How was your stay? And some owners, this is their blood, sweat, and tears, and they get very defensive. And you have to talk them off the ledge a little bit and see, okay, where's the grain of truth in there?
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. Awesome. Thank you so much, Susan. We appreciate your time. And is there any other piece of advice or word of encouragement that you would like to offer today before we close out?
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for letting me do this. It's really an honor, and it's really exciting. And I'm reading the side comments. I love some of the feedback I'm getting. Secondly, last thing, again, Janice Cannon, she's a brilliant woman. her other advice that she gave me, there were actually 4 things that I wrote down that she said, and I have it taped to my lap or my computer, is stop comparing yourself, refuse to let feelings hold you back, find someone you trust. You see this all sprinkled throughout my presentation, and get moving. Action will neutralize self-doubt. Thank you so much for letting me be part of this.
Hey, my friend, if you enjoyed listening to this podcast, be sure to rate, review, and share your biggest takeaway. And if you're wanting more, you can access hundreds of recent speakers, book summaries, great articles, and more at no additional charge through your membership portal. You can also get involved in a Women Leaders Association mastermind group or a networking group near you. Or if you just need to access your membership portal, simply go to womenleaderspodcast.com to be connected. Because here at Women Leaders Association, we believe we go further, faster, and have more fun when we go together. That's all for today, my friends. Bye for now.